So this clip has been doing the rounds on Twitter, and it is funny. It is really, really funny. It's got practically everything, to be honest. I really can't... It's such a gift, frankly. It's genuinely hilarious. So we'll watch it, and then we'll go through the bits that I find most interesting about it.
You've said things like, black women are biologically different than white women.
Yes, they have different fertility windows. They have a higher rate of fertility complications, 50% higher.
There's no
rate.
scientific evidence to prove that a black woman and a white woman are genetically different, right? This is like...
What are you talking about?
No.
Like literally, there are genes that code for their skin color. There are genes that...
Again, this is like government data. This is EMI, right? This is the National Institute of Health. This is the American Medical Association. Like, there is no scientific evidence to prove that.
And that's a big problem, right? Because a lot of...
No, there's no scientific
and that's why I asked.
Like IQ differences. Black people are genetically different from other populations.
And I'll say that again. There is no scientific evidence to prove that, right? And as people
I'm sorry. I'm stating. Do you want to ask an AI if there's scientific evidence to prove that?
No, I want to ask.
Because what you're stating is just factually incorrect. Humans are genetically diverse. It's not a bad thing that humans are genetically diverse.
I'm not saying it's a bad or a good thing. I'm saying there is no scientific evidence.
And I'm saying that is a factually...
And he's saying that there is scientific evidence.
There is scientific evidence. There is overwhelming scientific evidence. Basics... No. This is like saying the sky is not blue. Like... It is genes that code their skin color, right? Those genes are obviously different in them than they are in us. How is that not science? That's just like a basic fact. The genes that code their skin color, their level of melanin production, are different from my genes that code melanin production.
And that's precisely why I was asking this question, because I think for some people that do believe, like you, that people are genetically different, that has historically been used to promote racial hierarchies, right? And that's why I'm asking you, because...
So... I just thought I'd play that whole thing just because it's so good, right? But we'll go back to the bin. We'll go through each stage because there's everything in this, absolutely everything in this. So I don't know what the context of the interview is, but obviously the interviewer is a libtard, and I'm aware of the two on the other side. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but they're very traditional family, activist family who have lots of kids and are right wing, I guess you would say, and they, they're very polite. And I met them at the Natalist conference. I think it was last year, and they were very nice. And they're very normal-ish, I guess. I mean, like normal by comparison to like how you want to be treated, not like by necessarily the standards of the world at the moment. But anyway, let's watch that through again. I'm going to comment now.
You've said things like black women are biologically different than white women.
Right. Now, imagine why she's saying this, right? So, well, look, you've said crazy things, like black women are biologically different to white women. How could they not be? How could it be that black women and white women share the precise same biology, the genes, the hormone levels, whatever it is, and end up different? How would that be? It's like she thinks that black women choose to be black, and therefore... this is something that is a product of their own willpower or something. Like, what possible alternative could there be than they have different genes? But I think the reason that this woman, I don't even know if we could say she struggles with this, because this seems to make no impact on her worldview whatsoever. She seems to be approaching this as if she is dealing with a known heretic. It's like, right, okay. This person is a heretic. I'm not a heretic, obviously. I'm a good Orthodox liberal, but I'm being paid. My job is to interview this heretic, so we will just accept their heresy. I don't agree with it, but we accept that it's a heresy, and then we're going to talk about the subject I actually want to talk about. And the young lad, he's just like, well, hang on a second. If we can't agree on this, we can't agree on anything about reality, right?
They have different fertility windows. They have a higher rate of fertility complications, 50% higher.
There's no scientific evidence to prove that a black woman and a white woman are genetically different, right?
I love this face. He can't believe what he's hearing. There is only scientific evidence to show that black women and white women are genetically different. Because our knowledge of genes is done through science. We didn't know about genes prior to science. So any reference to genetic differences has to be modeled on scientific evidence that we have. And yet she is just repeating it. Well, there's no scientific evidence that they're genetically different, is there? It's like, how could it be that there isn't? But that's not what she's saying these words for. The words are not about describing reality. And this is the problem that he has, because he is using words as an attempt to accurately describe and model reality around him. His true sincere belief as to what reality consists in is what he uses words for. She uses words for something completely different. She uses words in order to establish her position in a social hierarchy, in a social group, to show others that she is safe to be in the group and that actually she's, a good and decent person, which is not in any way, shape or form connected to what he's trying to use words for. And so there's no way they can actually communicate. And it doesn't bother her that the heretic says something outgroupish, right? That doesn't bother one bit, because of course she knew that coming into this. But he can't understand that he's dealing with someone who genuinely doesn't really believe in reality as he believes in it. And I love his reactions here. I've got to say, it's just so funny.
Like,
what are you talking
No, they are.
about?
No.
Like literally, there are genes that code for their skin color. There are genes that...
Again, this is like government data. This is Emmy, right? This is
government data. Government data suggests that black women and white women are precisely the same in all outcomes, does it? No, it doesn't. But notice how what she's done here is handed this off to the authorities. Look, man. I'm not the one calling the shots. I'm not the arch wizard who determines what the magical spell is. And we'll get to the concept of this being a kind of spell in a bit. I'm just a grunt. I'm just a guy on the ground, or a they, them on the ground, whatever she identifies as. And I just follow the rules. I'm just here to follow the rules. I don't set the rules of engagement. I just follow the rules because these are the rules that we have to follow in this political milieu. And so she's like, well, look, I'm just going on what the authority says because I'm not the authority. I just accept the authority. And he's like, well, hang on a second. I have a mind of my own. I have an education. And I know that what you're saying is not true. She's like, well, I'm not here to contest that. It's not within my power to contest that, is what she's saying.
The National Institute of Health, this is the American Medical Association, like there is no scientific evidence to prove that.
And that's a big problem, right? Because
no.
This bit as well is amazing, right? So she's like, look, all of these things say that black women and white women have precisely the same outcomes, and they're exactly the same on a genetic level. They don't say that, right? They are nowhere. I mean, one of the major contentions that the left had, or one contention the left had a few years ago, is complaining that infant mortality was higher for black women than it was for white women. This was a social justice issue, and it revealed racism in the hospitals, allegedly. It could be that there's some other reason for that. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I'm not an expert in it, and I don't care about it. But the point is, that is something that they were contending was a structural issue about the world. And she's just arrived at, well, there's no particular problem. There's no particular difference. And that's the thing that you use to justify it being structural racism. If black women and white women are biologically identical, there's literally no difference. It has to be something external to them. Because if it's something internal to them, then it might be that actually the structures aren't racist and there are differences between groups of people. But she can't have this. And the thing is, I think this is actually a completely uncontroversial thing to say. Of course there are differences between groups of people. It's not a moral judgment, and it's actually medically necessary to be informed about, because if black women have higher infant mortality than white women, there must be reasons for that. And actually, if you're a doctor, you need to know about that. It's the same with like sickle cell anemia. Apparently, sub-Saharan African populations are more susceptible to this. So you need to know that if you are a doctor dealing with a patient, if they are a sub-Saharan African, you need to know that they are more susceptible to this and blah, blah, blah. And, white people with skin cancer and all this sort of thing. Like, there are differences between people, and it's just a fact of life. But if you're like a doctrinaire liberal and you believe in the blank slate universal human, well, this is heresy. What they're saying is there is no blank slate universal human, and all people are the same, and therefore these two mild-mannered white people are just evil racists who believe crazy things.
No, there's no scientific.
But I love that his wife is prepared to be like, okay, yeah, I'll let that go because I'm not interested in contesting the moral substrate of the in-group. And I think this is probably a woman thing. She's prepared to just let that go and understand that that's not the thing that's important here. She wants to discuss something else. But he is just like, no. I'm not letting this go. This is mad. This is madness. I've just looked into the yawning mind of madness, and I want to understand why it is you think the thing that you think.
And that's why I asked.
Like IQ differences. Black people are genetically different from other populations.
And I'll say that again. There is no scientific evidence to prove that, right? And
Again, it's not really that she is asserting a factual statement. What she's asserting is a moral and ideological statement. It was preordained, predetermined, that black people have no differences to white people. How we end up with black people and white people then is a question for the ages. But for her, there is just no difference. Conceptually, she's not allowed to draw any distinction because that has already been declared to be off limits. That has been declared to be a heresy. And so she's like, well, I'm just going to repeat the thing that I have said at the beginning so you understand where I stand. I mean, you can say any words you want describing reality, but I have my true, sincere belief. God is in his heaven, Jesus Christ is his son, and there is no scientific difference between black people and white people. It's the same thing. It's on the same plane of existence. Professing a belief in Allah and Muhammad as the last messenger, and there is no genetic difference between black people and white people. It's the same statement. She's not describing a scientific reality. She's professing a statement of faith.
No. I'm sorry. I'm stating. Do you want to ask an AI if there's scientific evidence to prove that?
No, I want to ask.
I love the fact that the AI has just. It literally. You see this all the time. People appeal to AI as if it's some sort of oracle at Delphi. It's like, right, we'll just speak to the gods, shall we? If we need to. And she's like, no. I know what the gods already think about this. There's no scientific difference, of course. But again, this has got everything that's wrong with discourse in the modern era.
Because what you're stating is just factually incorrect. Humans are genetically diverse. It's not a bad thing that humans are genetically diverse.
I'm not saying it's a bad or a good thing. I'm saying there is no scientific evidence.
And I'm saying that.
Everything is about coming back to the original position. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's just the same words, the same catechism over and over. I just repeat it like a mantra. Like, ask her what science means in that sentence. What does science mean when you say there's no scientific evidence to suggest there is genetic differences between black people and white people? Like, what does that mean to her? And she will just say something moral. She will say something like, well, and she does at the end, in fact, as we've seen. She will say something like, I'm making sure that there's no way we can create a racial hierarchy through which to unjustly or justly discriminate against black people. That's what she will end up saying. Something along those lines. And he's not thinking in these terms at all.
That is a factual.
He's saying that there is scientific evidence.
There is scientific evidence. There is overwhelming scientific evidence. Basics. No. This is like saying the sky is not blue. Like, it is genes that code their skin color, right? Those genes are obviously different in them than they are.
Look at this expression, right? Okay, I'm going to be patient and let him explain his heresy, but I've already come to the conclusion that he is a heretic and therefore wrong, and I've said it 4 or 5 times now. There's no scientific evidence that there is any genetic difference between black people and white people. And he's just not hearing it. He's just not understanding that I profess my faith to the Lord Jesus or to Allah or to Jehovah or whatever. He doesn't understand that I'm a follower of Odin. I don't listen to foreign gods, is what she's saying. And he's just not getting it. And so she's just sat there patiently, kind of chaddish in a way. Like, no, I'm literally just committed to my ignorance. It doesn't matter what you say. There are no words that can come out of your mouth that will persuade me because you're not part of the power structure. You're not part of the in-group that I have allegiance to. And therefore, like, you're wasting your time by talking at me is this face.
are in us. How is that not science? That's just like a basic fact. The genes that code their skin color, their level of melanin production, are different from my genes that code melanin production.
And that's precisely why I was asking this question, because I think for some people that do believe, like you, that
some people that do believe like you, some insane throwback heretics who believe that somehow genes affect the color of your skin. I mean, for crazy people like you, it's genuinely hilarious, isn't it? It's like, what a great take on this. Like, no, I'm so liberal. I don't even think genetics is real. I'm so liberal. I don't even think that the color of your skin is something that is chosen for you by your genes. I think that somehow you choose your own color of your skin or something like that. Now, what this young lad should have done is asked her, okay, well, how is it that black people and white people have different color skin? He should have asked her to explain it if he wanted to get through the programming. Because as far as she's concerned, she's just holding a line against someone else. She doesn't have to explain shit. She just says the magic words over and over, and that's all she needs to do. To get past it, he needs to draw her out and say, okay, well, you explain to me how it is that black women and white women have different color skin, and then maybe I'll be persuaded along to your point. And then she's got to make the affirmative case. But because she doesn't have to, he kind of loses this interaction, which is really funny, frankly. It's really funny how he can be like sat there going, no, this is scientifically accurate to the best of our knowledge, which is correct. And she's just like, no, it's not. You're mad. You're a crazy person who believes something that crazy people believe. But I'm here to interview you. So I understand that you as a crazy person believe that. This is what I think is true.
People are genetically different. That has historically been used to promote racial hierarchies, right?
There we go. That's why it is a forbidden thought. It's not that it's scientifically accurate or anything like that. What she's speaking about is whether it's politically accurate, as in, no, we are well beyond having hierarchies. We're the ultra equality movement. Remember, it doesn't matter what truth or falsehood is. What matters is that politically we get a certain kind of outcome. And I've explained to you over and over, there's no scientific evidence for genetic differences between black people and white people, because that prevents Nazis, that prevents slavery, that prevents the Holocaust. Why aren't you listening, young man, is what she's thinking at this point.
Right, and that's why I'm asking you.
Because basically, when she says you do, she's saying, because you are a Nazi, aren't you? You, caring about the reality of the thing, basically make yourself a Nazi, and you are complicit in everything terrible that's happened. And I think that's insane. To be willingly morally connected to the Nazis is madness. And if you believe that people are genetically different, you're going to create a hierarchy out of that. And therefore, and they're all like this. They all believe this. I mean, like, some of the responses have just been amazing. Evan, there's no way to determine someone's race with a genetic analysis, full stop. I mean, that's a very orthodox left-wing position that totally denies that genetics has any effect on human beings, as if we're not biological creatures. Frankly, it's exactly the kind of thing I would expect Evan to say. Now, he goes on to try and qualify it underneath. He's like, well, I mean, it tells haplogroups, which correlates. I probably should have put the word solely in front of determinant. Yeah, whatever, Evan. Because the thing is, it's not about, again, right or wrong, truth or falsity. What this is about is conformity or disorthodoxy, right? This is about you jumped straight to this without thinking through your own statement, because for you this was a moral claim, not a scientific claim, and everyone can see it. You've got other people like Alonso here, who is part of the London School of Economics Sociology department, and he's like, genetics determines skin color. Yes, they also determine height, moles, and hair color, but we don't build social hierarchies around that. Well, I mean, as a sociologist, I would have thought you would have been a bit more informed on the fact that actually we kind of do informally build social hierarchies around hair color, height in particular, and other things. So, saying that this means you ring-fence some genes and attributed moral social value to them. Well, he's not doing that, actually. He's actually saying, from a biological perspective, if black women and white women have differential outcomes in, say, child mortality, during birth, this is actually a utilitarian concern. As in, if you are a doctor, you need to know that there is a difference so you can act appropriately on those differences. But that's the thing. We call this racist. You just want to call people racist. Again, this is just about being a libtard moralist. I mean, no. The moral thing to say is again, why have you got no critique of the woman doing the interview? Just critique this man. It's like, no, she is saying lunatic things, but Alonso here recognizes the morality of the lunatic things she's saying. And I quite liked this post, right? Oobzu here. He's like, look, the required takeaway from the genetics differences video is that your enemies do not use words the way that you do, which is what I've said already, which is true, right? They are not instruments for conveying meaning. They do not illuminate a mapping from mental concepts to physical reality. They are spells provided to them by wizards, which, for all intents and purposes, is correct. That's literally what she's doing when she's repeating, no, I've told you, the magic words are that there's no genetic difference between black women and white women. Like, what are you talking about? The purpose of the spells is to make you do what they want. You may believe that you're having a conversation, but they know they are in a spell casting contest, and their ignorance of everything that is real provides them with absolute immunity to your spells. And this is why Alonso here is just like, no, you're just a racist. This is the kill spell that he's trying to get to, and this is what she's resisting doing as well. But yeah, anyway, I think that this is completely correct. And honestly, this whole thing has been genuinely hilarious to me. It's been genuinely funny watching it. But it's also really illuminating, because nothing that the young man was saying was morally loaded, right? Had no moral valence to what he was saying. He was just like, no, there are differences between people. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And she's like, well, I appreciate that mad people like you think that, but you're a Nazi and you're a racist, is what they're trying to get to without actually saying it, because they realize that just calling people racist these days is a bit gauche, a bit out of fashion, actually. But they still believe it. The madness of the blank slate libtards has not gone away.